Okay, so are you ready to dive into something pretty wild?
I'm all ears.
Great. We've gotten a ton of questions and articles and comments from people about this whole Elon Musk thing.
Ah, yes. The robot pregnancy thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's certainly caught people's attention, hasn't it?
It has. So is it the future? Is it just a total sci-fi fantasy? What's real, what's not? Let's try to figure that out.
Sounds like a plan. It's fascinating how this whole story spread and how people are reacting.
It is.
It really says a lot about how we feel about technology these days.
I think so too.
Trying to make sense of what's real, what's fake.
Right, and we've got a bunch of stuff to go through. We've got this article from Euro Weekly News,
Okay.
and that one seemed to really set people off. I mean, everybody had an opinion.
Yeah, I saw that.
Some were excited, some were really scared, some were like, no way, this is crazy.
Understandably so.
Then we've got this other piece that's more like an opinion piece, sort of looking at like, okay, well, what if?
Yeah.
What are the good things? What are the bad things about this type of tech?
I think it's important to consider all sides of the equation.
Definitely. And of course, we have to do some fact checking too.
Always a good idea. Got to separate the truth from the fiction.
Exactly. So first things first, did Elon Musk actually say, hey, world, here are robots that can carry babies?
In a nutshell, no. A bunch of fact checkers looked into it. Snopes, USA Today, PolitiFact, they all said, nope, didn't happen.
So no big reveal of pregnant robots at a Tesla event?
No, not exactly. He did show off some new robots at a Tesla event.
Yeah.
Pretty advanced stuff, but nothing about them being able to carry babies.
So then where on earth did this whole thing come from?
Well, it seems like it all started with a joke post. This account on X, at Note Elon Musk, made a satirical post.
Right.
And then things really took off when a digital artist, Victoria Blank, created this incredibly realistic video of a robot that looked pregnant. That video went completely viral.
Oh, wow. I actually think I remember seeing that one. It was so lifelike that it's easy to see why people thought it was real. But yeah, she was just making art. She wasn't saying this was a real Tesla product or anything.
Yeah, it really shows you the power of visuals,
Mm-hmm.
how they can shape what we believe, and how quickly misinformation can spread online.
So true. This whole thing really got people fired up. Some people saw it as something amazing that could change everything.
Yeah,
Others were like, this is just creepy.
a very wide range of reactions.
Yeah. And that Euro Weekly News article, even though it was kind of written as a joke, it did point out some potential benefits. Like, imagine if women could have careers without having to worry about the physical challenges of pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
Or what if pregnancy complications could be reduced?
Interesting point.
Or for people who can't have children naturally, maybe this could be an option.
Yeah, that article definitely got people thinking.
It did.
Now, that opinion piece by Abdul Rehman takes a more balanced approach. He explores both sides of the issue. You know, he brings up the potential problems with emotional bonding in this kind of scenario. And he really emphasizes the need for strict safety protocols.
Makes sense.
If this technology ever actually became a reality.
Right. You can't just jump into something like this without thinking through all the safety aspects.
Exactly. He also raises an important question about access. Would this be something that's available to everyone or just to people who can afford it?
Yeah, that's a huge issue.
And then there's the comment section of that Euro Weekly News article. Wow. Talk about a heated debate.
Yeah, I saw that. Some people like Karina and LJ thought this was messing with nature, like we're playing God.
It's an age-old question, isn't it? How far should we go with technology?
It is. Where do we draw the line? Is there a point where we're crossing a boundary we shouldn't be crossing?
It's a debate that's been going on for centuries, and it's not going away anytime soon.
Especially with technology advancing so rapidly. But then you have people like Emma and Jeanette who see this as a potential solution to some really tough problems, like infertility or high-risk pregnancies.
Right. For them, it's a beacon of hope.
Yeah, and it shows how personal this whole debate is. People's experiences and their beliefs really shape how they view this type of technology.
Absolutely. It's not just a theoretical discussion. It touches on very real and personal issues.
And then there's Brian, who brings up this fascinating point about what he calls the unknown unknowns.
Ah, yes. The unintended consequences.
Yeah, like what if there are all these consequences that we can't even foresee right now?
That's always a possibility.
Because we're talking about a major shift here. Who knows what kind of ripple effects this could have on mothers, on children, on society as a whole?
It's that classic butterfly effect scenario. One small change can lead to massive, unpredictable outcomes.
Right, and history is full of examples of that.
Yeah.
We invent something thinking it'll be great, and then, well, sometimes things don't go as planned.
Sometimes, even with the best intentions, the consequences can be significant and not always in the way we hoped.
Yeah, sometimes, even with the best of intentions, things can go sideways.
It's a sobering thought, but an important one to keep in mind.
Definitely. We have to think about the potential downsides, even when we're talking about something that sounds really cool and exciting.
I think that's a great place to pause for now.
Okay, yeah, let's take a quick break and we'll come back to this in a minute.
It makes you wonder what kinds of safeguards we would need if this actually became a reality.
Like, what if somebody just went ahead and did it? What would we do?
It's a really good question.
I mean, are we prepared for that? What ethical conversations should we be having right now to make sure that if it does happen, it's handled responsibly?
Those are the million-dollar questions, aren't they?
They are.
I mean, we would have to be very careful about this. Think about it from all angles. Like, who would even have access to this technology?
Yeah.
Would it be something that's available for everyone?
Right.
Or would it just be for the super wealthy?
That creates a whole other set of problems.
It does. You know, questions about equity, fairness, it gets really complicated.
And what about the rights of the child? I mean, if a child is born this way, do they have the same rights as a child who's born naturally?
That's a huge question.
Do we even know what the psychological impacts would be on the mother or the child?
It's uncharted territory.
It really is. We could be talking about redefining motherhood as we know it.
Absolutely.
What does it even mean to be a mother if you're not the one physically carrying the child?
It raises so many profound questions.
And for the child, too.
Yes?
I mean, there could be all these emotional, psychological complexities that we haven't even begun to consider.
We're wading into very deep waters here.
It's almost like a science fiction story come to life, isn't it? But we're actually having these conversations now.
And that's a good thing.
It is.
I mean, it's much better to be proactive, to think about these issues now while the technology is still theoretical, than to wait until it's too late.
Because once it's out there.
Once it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah.
And then it might be too late to address the ethical implications.
So even though right now the idea of robots carrying babies is still in the realm of science fiction, the conversations we're having about it are very real and very important.
I couldn't agree more.
And they're important because they force us to confront some really fundamental questions about our relationship with technology, about family, about what it means to be human.
Exactly. And all of this is happening in a world that's changing faster than ever before.
Yeah, it makes you realize that we have a responsibility to shape the future we want. We can't just sit back and let technology dictate everything.
We need to be active participants.
Yes.
Not just passive observers.
And we have to be critical. We can't just accept every new technological advancement without thinking about the consequences.
We need to ask tough questions.
We do?
And make sure that we're using technology to serve humanity.
Instead of the other way around.
Precisely. We have to remember that technology is a tool.
No.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
You mentioned earlier how this whole story sparks such strong reactions from people.
Yeah, it really did.
Why do you think that is?
I think it touches on some deep-seated anxieties that a lot of people have about the future.
Okay.
On one hand, there's this fear that technology is becoming too powerful, that it's going to dehumanize us somehow.
Like we're going to lose control.
Exactly. That machines will take over aspects of our lives that we consider sacred, like having children. Some people worry that if we outsource pregnancy to machines, it'll somehow diminish the human experience.
Like we're taking something away that's essential to what it means to be human.
Exactly. But then on the flip side, there's also this hope that technology can help us solve some of the biggest problems we're facing.
Yeah, like what?
Well, think about it. Infertility, maternal mortality. What if this technology could help us overcome those challenges?
I see what you mean. There are people out there who are really struggling with those issues.
Yes. And for them, this technology could be a lifeline. It could offer new possibilities for building families.
So it's understandable why some people see this, even though it's not real yet, as something positive.
It is.
It's this idea that technology could alleviate suffering, could give people more choices.
It's like this double-edged sword.
It is.
The same technology that causes fear can also inspire hope.
And that makes it even more important to talk about it, to really examine it from all sides.
Absolutely. I think that tension, that uncertainty about what the future holds is what makes this whole topic so fascinating.
And a little bit scary, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely getting people to think and talk, and that's a good thing.
I think so, too. It's great to see people engaging with these complex issues,
Mm-hmm.
weighing the potential benefits against the risks.
It's like we can't just ignore it.
Exactly. We can't just bury our heads in the sand and pretend it's not happening.
And that's especially true in a world where technology is evolving so quickly.
It's moving at warp speed.
It is.
Yeah.
We have to be informed, we have to be thoughtful, and we have to be proactive.
We have to shape the role technology plays in our lives, not the other way around.
Well said. So what do you think? Where do we go from here? It's like we have to start thinking about these things now before it's too late.
Exactly. We need to be having these conversations while this is still theoretical, before somebody actually tries to make it happen.
Because if we wait until it's already a reality, it might be too late to put the furs on.
It might be.
Yeah.
And then we're just reacting instead of being proactive.
And to do that, we have to be willing to listen to all sorts of different opinions.
That's key.
We can't just shut down ideas that make us feel uncomfortable.
No, we have to be open to different perspectives, even if we don't agree with them.
We have to be able to have these conversations respectfully.
And critically.
Right. Wrestle with these ethical questions that come up.
Exactly. Because these are tough questions. There are no easy answers.
It's like finding that balance between pushing the boundaries of technology and remembering what makes us human.
It's not an either situation.
Yeah.
We can have progress and still hold on to our values.
It's about using technology to make the world better without losing sight of who we are.
Beautifully put. I think that's a really important point.
So before we wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay.
What if this technology did become real? I mean, what safeguards would you want to see?
That's a good question. What would need to be in place to make sure it's used ethically?
Yeah. What are the ethical considerations that we as a society would need to address?
Because this isn't just about the science.
Right.
It's about the human impact, the potential to change the way we think about family and motherhood.
We're talking about the future of humanity here.
It's a lot to wrap our heads around, but these are conversations we need to be having.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
And we've only just scratched the surface. But I hope we've given our listeners something to think about, something to discuss.
I hope so, too. It's a topic that raises more questions than answers.
It does. But it's important to keep asking those questions, to keep exploring, and to keep the conversation going. So until next time, keep those minds curious, and remember, the future is what we make it.